well, I'm actually gonna talk about a bit of this creation stuff because for me it's very hard to create anything because I don't want to waste materials. So it's like, oh, I have this nice idea and I could do it like this, and then when I'm like actually like now I'm gonna start to do it and I'm nah, I don't want to waste these materials. Like if it's just gonna be perfect in the first time, like that I'm also a little bit like I have a problem mentally here. Like I don't want to have just like prototypes. I want the first thing to be the perfect thing, like item that I can just like give to customer. Like there you go, what you ask or like what I wanted to do. Like I'm so hard for myself, but it's also I think it's kind of part of the mentality of Sámi people that like you cannot waste materials and you need to use all you take. So it's kind of like frustrating.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting. That probably then you heard about the zero waste method in working with textile.
Yeah, I have been, and like I also attended this one course in Estonia back then, which were making kind of like I don't know how to say what it was, like kind of like fiber or something out of this kombucha mushroom.
Like yeah.
And also from like coffee, like the waste of the coffee powder, so you can make from that you can make some kind of like this kind of very weird stuff.
Yeah, actually, I will then send you a book I was downloading, but actually you can, I think, also download the PDF from the Aalto bookshop, the Aalto Camart book, if you haven't done it yet. It's like also like using these natural fibers, any kind of natural fibers, mostly from wood and such things, but of course for that you need some kind of laboratory.
Yeah. But it's interesting to like know how others are using the like not wasting but like using everything about it.
So welcome to all. I'm Jula Svicevic, the organizer of this event. And this is the first online event for the group, so-called Joint Interdisciplinary Learning through Art and Science, to support sustainable learning and exchange of knowledge related to the fields of art and science. And that is essential for adaptation to our rapidly changing environments and lives. So through this event, my goal is to highlight that it is not only important to gain new knowledge, but also to preserve that has been adding value to our lives through the history. And this is the reason I invited Minta Peltokangas, a Finnish textile artist with Sámi roots, and she will tell us about her inspiration and experiences in her life and work. So, hi, Minta.
Hello.
Welcome. I hope you are fine in these dark times and you are keeping up with the energy. And yeah, so I would ask you a few questions. So based on that, you can form your like answers and your thoughts. So I was interested that what meaning does using natural fibers in textile design have for you, and how does it affect your work mainly?
For me, using natural fibers comes from my roots, family roots, and also that I just love how the like natural fibers feels on skin. Like basically because I'm textile designer, I think it as a garment or something what is close to your skin, like blankets or something like that. And for me, it's very important that it's when it comes from the nature, like example, wool comes from the sheep and like that, it's very easy process because example, cotton is a bit more complicated and not so sustainable fiber. So it's like, example, it takes a lot of water when it grows, and also like to manufacture the fiber itself. So it's not so like good to use in the way. Also, it is that it's easy to use. It feels good on the skin, and when you have used it for some time, it usually do not go bad. Like if you think of wool or leather, it just gets better with the age. And then in some point, if you don't want to use it anymore, you can give it forward, you can sell it, or you can do something new from it. Like example, if you have 100% wool jumper and you accidentally wash it with too high temperature and it shrinks, you can still cut for your shoes this bottom under your feet, so it will keep you warm still in the winter time. So it's very like you can reuse it as long as it just stays like that, and even after that you can dispose it easily, because like example, wool socks takes only max 5 years to dispose in the nature. When you compare it to polyester, it might take like 400, 500 years before it disposes to somewhere, and still all kind of animals are gonna get choke on it, and like it's gonna be on your food in the end. So that's why I prefer rather the natural fibers. And how it affects my work? Well, of course, I need to think like, first of all, what I'm gonna do and for who it's gonna be. And if it's for customer, of course, the customer is deciding what she wants, or he, the customer anyways. So I need to think like, if the customer would like to have a beanie for the winter time, of course I need to think like, okay, do you want it wool? Do you want some like cotton and wool? Or if you want some like synthetic fabrics, of course I need to go with that. But it's like, from the beginning, what you're gonna make, you need to think what you can use and is it suitable for that, mainly.
Yes. Yeah. So, and besides that what the customer wants, like, do you use some kind of research before starting a new design, or has it changed over the time, or do you have some plans connected to?
Yeah, like I'm more that kind of a person who just does. Like I got the idea, okay, I want to do this, and then I just do it. And in the way I might like, okay, maybe I should check this technique from internet or from some books, or maybe I should check like what others have done. So I don't like, even it will come straight from my brain or somewhere, it's still good to check that if somebody else have done the same. And it's anyway good to research what others have done, even though I don't like that much, but still it's good to do. Yeah, usually I just do it, but if it's for customers especially, I think it's good to check how is it done and what is best way to do it. Like if you work with leather, you really need to make good before work, before you actually do it, because leather will show all the mistakes you have done on the way. So also, if I do some embroidery work, I usually get the inspiration for some picture, because it's more that there is the word just disappeared from my mind. It's also abstract work if I do some embroidery, and for that I usually check like pictures for inspiration, and like maybe if I want to do some water looking like surface, like how I should do it, and then some of the techniques with it. But if it's just painting and I feel like this, then I might just like splash and that's it. Yeah, that's mainly it.
So then you don't really try to invent something, but you rather, just looking to the techniques, as I understand, that you would like just to know how to do it the best if you imagine something, and if I understand it right.
Yeah, basically like that. And sometimes if I'm like thinking I would like to do some kind of a bag or something which requires some kind of 3D kind of shaping, I can quite easily do it in my head. And sometimes when I just see some kind of like how something is fused together or glued or whatever, I can quite easily like, oh yeah, and then it's like that, and then like I can just replay it in my head, and that's it. That's the research. And sometimes I draw it on the paper, like, yeah, this is how it should be done, and that's it.
So at the moment you are in Helsinki, and do you think it affects somehow your work? Like, does it make a difference when you are, for example, in Lapland or when you are in Helsinki, that how much you can work on your ideas and your inspiration and planning your work and design?
Now when I live in Helsinki, of course, it's because it's the capital of Finland. It's quite hectic time to time, and I can feel that I get lost in it, and then I kind of forgot where I come from and like be in the present. So when I go to Lapland, it's usually holiday for my brain. So it's like I can just forget what's going on here and just concentrate on being in the nature. And I don't do that much handcraft in Lapland because I don't have time, because I'm outside outdoors doing some basic work like carrying the woods inside. So it's like time for brain also to just like deeply consider stuff and thinking like what's actually going on and what I would like to do. And kind of it's the place where I gather these ideas and inspiration. And and then in Helsinki, it's because all my materials, my yarns, my everything is here. So it's kind of like I'm waiting to get back here so I can like put at least on the paper. I can write down those things like this one, and then like it's like balancing each other, but it's still like combination, like
So as I understood, you are going when you go back home to rest, then you have time to like think things through and then plan well, and then you're going to Helsinki and just working.
yeah. Basically that, yes.
That's actually, if it works, then it's fine, but it's quite a big contrast. Yeah.
It is, and somehow I like the contrast. I like being in Helsinki because it's so much of like lots of people and this city life and this kind of, you can see people just running around like I'm late on something, and then you just say like help me. And then in Lapland, because there is no one, like my mom only, so it's like it's so quiet and no cars, no nothing, and you just are in the middle of the nature, just like you also stop like what is going inside your head. It's just nothing. And sometimes usually I have one kind of handcraft with me, like knitting or embroidering or something easy to carry. So I usually have something with me, but in the end, when I come back, I'm like, I didn't do at all. I didn't do it at all. Nothing, like it's still in the same spot when I left.
But it's okay, as I see you are really giving yourself that time, that you don't only do a lot of work, but you also care about your like well-being, like that you would be also like okay and not only pushing and something. That's really
I think it's important to give you the break, even though like even though you would work like 7 days a week or 5 days a week, it's still important to give you those moments when you can just like be and just let the imagination go. Even you wouldn't do anything, but it's still the process what's going inside the head, like and subconscious way.
So, what do you think are the biggest environmental changes nowadays in Finland? Did you see any patterns like in the nature, in flora or animal behavior that something changed because of the climate change, for example? Like, is it visible in Finland or not?
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is quite like the climate change is the one of the biggest, but it's affecting yeah, affecting to the nature. Like example for now, like several years already, there hasn't been snow in the southern Helsinki and even in the middle of Finland. In the southern Finland, there is no snow at all in the winter time. There might be like few days, but then it like melts away quite easily. And then even in the middle of Finland, there is very like the winters are not winters anymore as they used to be like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, like lots of snow and like actual what you think winter should be. And also it affects in Lapland, this climate change, that there is a lot of snow then. Like, of course, there have always been snow, but now it's almost like double. And that's affecting that, like, example, some animals like reindeers cannot pick out the food from the snow, and also the birds who are like migrating, they don't know what to do because it's like, oh, it's so warm still, we shouldn't go yet, and then they are like, oh, it's summer again. So yeah, I can see this affecting a lot. What I have also read and see from the social media videos, news, it's like the bears do not hibernate that much, and like in Antarctic, animals are also quite in a danger to distinct. Yeah, but also this COVID-19 was kind of a good for the nature, because what I read in like China, the air has been cleaned off from all this gas and stuff, and like animals, like wildlife, has been taken back to cities a bit when the people were in lockdown. So it's good and bad in a way. Of course, the Baltic Sea is very important to Finnish people. So there is a lot of campaigns and like like they are gathering some money to clean the sea, and yeah.
So yeah, it seems that all the animals are in, and plants, basically all the living life is in danger, including us. So I'm interested that, for example, how does the Sámi roots are important in this? What do you think that is there any like knowledge connected to the nature which can be like useful in this kind of situation to adapt to the changing environment and climate, like when you really have to, like, for example, just think about how to survive, then are these Sámi knowledge or culture, like traditional knowledge, does it help you in that, or can it help people?
Yeah, I think so. Like the kind of Sami people, like back in the day, especially, they have been very like close to nature, and they have this is it animalistic belief that they have these shamans, and they thought like all the living creature has the soul, and like there was not like religion itself, but everything was sacred. Like even the names of some hills and mountains are it is in Finnish, it's sacred. So it's like it's all is together, like all the humans and all the animals and the plants and everything is like, don't take more than you need. And like when you like back in the days when they kill the reindeer, they use everything like horns. They made this thread out of the spines and everything. It's like you use everything you take, and I think that's the way. Like especially for when industry is making meat, there is a lot of waste because people don't want to eat liver, or they don't want to eat like this, like tongue of that animal, even though it's as good muscle as the like the best parts of the animal. And I think it's very wasting and like feeling. Can you hear me still?
Yes.
Okay, no. So it's really wasting the resources when you don't use everything. It's like you just take the one tiny bit of that animal and then you throw everything else away, and that's really bad because you should use everything what you take. And
as I see, you are trying to follow these same traditions in your work to, of course, like to use these zero waste methods in textile art, and also to reuse materials, to use all these cookeries connected to the different materials, like what can be used, like even for example, the meat from the meat production. Also, you can use the gelatin and such things. So, these are actually, in that sense, I think here seems to me at least that some traditional knowledge could be connected with these new implementations, like some like laboratory works when they are like now creating new materials. So maybe if those areas could like connect, that would be something useful.
Yeah, exactly. And like just popped in my mind is that some vegans cannot eat some certain candies because in that candy that is kind of this jelly kind of candies, they are using the brain of a cow to make it jelly. Or was it a cow? Well, anyway, so like I understand, like if you are totally not eating any kind of meat products, of course you don't eat that, but it's like that's how you should use everything. That's okay, like from the cow pain you're using to things to get jelly, or like this other was like you make glue out of the horse the hoovers, and for the pig, the swine hoovers, like that's how you should use it. Like even though the glue is not maybe the best choice, but still you use everything what you get, and you don't just throw away like I didn't.
Yeah, obviously it's completely not sustainable. So yeah.
Yeah.
So how does Sámi roots manifest in your day-to-day life besides this thinking sustainably, trying to use everything, being close to nature? That are there any other like traditions you or something which are really specific you are following, and does it affect your work and relationships or inner well-being or just your life?
Well, this is kind of, it's hard to think myself because how I do is normal to me, and for other people it might be really like, oh, I haven't never thought to do it like that, and that's when I kind of realized, okay, this is maybe like how we like in my family or in Sámi people do. But for me, it's kind of like in the creation process, especially I don't want to create anything which do not have purpose. It's like most of the things that I buy, example, also I buy from fast fashion stuff sometimes, and I still try to think like, okay, for what I'm gonna use it, like with what I'm gonna use, because I want the stuff to have multi purposes. Like one shirt, I can use it in 10 different ways and just like one time use only. And then after that, when I don't want to use it anymore, can I resell it? Can I give it to someone? Can I make something out of it? Like this shrink and wool jumper, you can still use it as a, you can make a pouch of it. Like for your tablet, you can make a pouch for that, or it's like it's very warm and it keeps it safe. So I always try to like think how long I can use it, and if in some point it cannot be used anymore, like how can I dispose it? And that's kind of the problem also with the fast fashion things when they mix different kind of fibers like wool and polyester. It's hard to dispose because polyester would go to plastic, and then the wool would go to like beer waste. But then you cannot do it because it's hard to like separate these two when they are manufactured, like made together. So it's like hard to do it. And how it's in my day-to-day life? Well, at my home, you can see where I come from. Like I have bring the forest to my home because I cannot go so easily to forest. So I have lots of horns and bones and stones and sticks in my home, and also that is something I want to apply into my creative process, that I can do it around a stick. If I want to do some wall hanging stuff, I can like, okay, I can use this stick for that. So I'm always, well, that's what I already said before, that don't throw nothing away. So I always try to save, and even like Christmas paper, like I try to get it off nicely around the package, and then I try to reuse it for next year. And then I just put a new sticker on top of where was my name, like to Minta, and then it's like, okay, I will give it to someone else, and like reusing everything. It's kind of like, yeah, that's maybe the biggest daily stuff what I have from Sámi roots.
Yeah, it's maybe it helps you being more conscious. Like many people, they really have to go after and think through every steps, and maybe it comes more naturally for you this way.
Yeah, and well, also just remember that I use a lot of like herbs what I have picked up myself from my home in Lapland. So like if somebody's sick, I'm like, hey, do you have this? Do you know how to like how to heal yourself? So that's also something what like some friends have been like, how do you know this? Like, don't you know how to do this? It's like very something what I have noticed that a lot of people maybe don't know and hasn't never thought of it. Like, okay, from this dandelion which is growing in your backyard, you can actually like do some medicine. It's like it's normal to me.
Yeah, this is where this traditional knowledge is really important. That you don't get it like dumped into the trash bin. That, well, my grandmother said something. Who cares? Like, we are now doing science. Like, and
Yeah.
just now scientists are like trying to find out that what these people knew. So, and maybe you can somehow apply it for like, it's possible to maybe use some kind of fibers in the textile too, which can have some healing properties to the skin. I don't know actually, but just an idea.
Yeah, well, like I yeah. Right now I don't remember like correctly, so I don't say more, but like example, wool has some healing effects, and also I think linen also have some kind of healing effect. So it's I haven't studied that so much, but what you can use with the textile. But yeah, there's like everything can be healing if you just apply it right. So
Yeah. Well, it's interesting to look after. So how did you came into contact with your roots? Like besides that, of course, when you go home, then you are home. But you started to think about that you want to work with it, and you made this kind of seems like a decision. So how it all happened in your case?
Well, I have always knew from the child that like we are from Lapland, and like I have studied like all my school. I have been like in the middle of Finland or here in Helsinki. So I have always felt that okay, I'm different than other kids in the school. Like yeah, of course, I also experienced some bullying. Even like first time I got this kind of who I am figuration, my early 20s, and that's when I also applied to sewing school for like clothes. Like I started to go towards textiles and designing products. And then when I went to this internship in east side of Lapland, Finnish Lapland, there I got more contact to like how to actually create like this kind of Sámi handcrafts, and how to do it and how the life actually goes in there. And there I also like kind of got this, who am I? Am I what I am? And like what's going on? And I also experienced some bullying in social media from other Sámi people, that you are fake, you are not truly Sámi because you have a wrong name, like my last name was kind of wrong or something like this. And it really affected on me few years that I didn't want to put our Sámi dress on, and I didn't want to say anything in social media or like even to my friends that yeah, this is Sámi, blah blah blah. Like it affects a lot, and it's very sad that they are so like Sámi people are so, they want to keep it so secret that nobody steals it, which is understandable, but it's still like, if you're not gonna tell about it, nobody's gonna know, and then it's gonna disappear. Like that's just how it goes. But as I said, I'm not like fully grown into Sámi lifestyle, and like I don't know a lot about reindeer herding example. I just know what I have read from books and stuff. But still, it's something that I have always knew, and like when I went closer, like I started to study more textile design, I just like realized like this is where all my inspiration and everything comes from. Like then I started to like put it on a upper shelf of my head, like yeah, this is good, I'm like this, and this is how it should be. Yeah.
So you put it to the right space.
Yes.
in your life.
Yes. Farther I'm from home, the more I need to like, I'm showing it in my dressing, and like that, hey, I'm Sámi, hello. And like when I went to exchange in Estonia, I was really like, I'm this, and it just make it more like important to me that okay, I'm actually like this. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. It was quite actually interesting. I was wondering that this girl is like really traditional, like really keeping the traditions. And well, I might have some stereotypes myself too. Of course, it helps me orientate in the world, but it was
Yeah.
quite lovely, and I was like, "Hi!" And I never saw that kind of shoes, for example. It was really
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. So, is there any myths or traditions that affected you personally, or you have some favorite ones?
Well, the first one that came to my mind is this tale of Natti, which is like Finnish old tale about this guardian of the water, and it's like if you go like back in the story, we have lived in an island in the middle of the lake, so I wasn't allowed to go alone to the shore, so I don't drown when I was a kid. So I was scared of with this tale of this Naki, and it's a guardian of water, and it's like luring you into the shore and like to come very close to the water and like come on, I have called for you, or it was shape of a really beautiful woman or whatever was the person it tried to lure in. When you go too close, it will kidnap you and drown you. It will like take you underwater and like kill you there. So I was really scared of waters, and I'm still scared of waters because I was kind of, my mom did a good work there. I'm still alive. So it's something that has always stayed with me. And also like Tonto, this elf, like Santa's little helpers nowadays, but like Sauna Tonto has been very close to me because you cannot yell at sauna, or you cannot uh, pee in the sauna or anything. Otherwise, this sauna elf will get mad to you and it will kick you out of the sauna. So all this kind of tonto and this kind of lore has been really close to me. And also I have been always interested of like witchcraft and like this mythologies of like Scandinavian and actually Asian cultures also has been very like close to my heart and are still actually. Yeah. Also past years I have been learning more about this kind of spiritual well-being and like patriarchy, monarchy, like this kind of how like what is going inside your head and how do you think actually affects you, like your whole being. So this kind of witchcraft, shamanism, spiritual well-being are like almost day-to-day life to me, to be honest.
Yeah, it's really interesting that why these kind of myths and creatures they are created. It's really
Yeah, because if you think of this guardian of the water, like, yeah, it makes sense that like 200 years ago, 500 years ago, you didn't have this kind of, maybe you didn't know how to even swim. And if you went to the shore and you slipped and then you hit your head, no, well, nobody's gonna save you. Like nowadays, it's more easy to go to hospital and like, you know, get treated. But back then, like, if you got wet, you can die for the cold. You know, like for you got flu, you got fever, everything, you can die. So these kind of tales from the beginning helped you to survive.
yeah, that's true. So, what do you think is the most important for caring for local traditions?
Well, one of the most is that they do not disappear. Like there are lots of writings in history, and like lots of different people have been written history, but that what hasn't been told or written on the books, it has disappeared, and that's very sad because, like, let's say there is not much of knowledge how, like example, Finnish women have been back in the days, but there is like all kind of Kalevala and Väinämöinen to being like very powerful men, like for example, and like why it has wanted to be forgotten, that you don't remember how certain people were back in the days. And that's one of the most important things, to take care of these traditions, that people do not forget them, and also that you will learn from them. Like this Naki guardian of the water, it's very good for the children, because what's the best way to keep them alive? Well, scare them a little. Even maybe it might affect the rest of their lives, but still it's like, that's how you keep them off from the shore, to scare a little that there is going to be some ugly water creature coming and like, rah. So that's how you will survive. And also like understanding like each other, because all these tales tell something about humanity, and like about us and them, and like why stuff like was done how it was. So that's why it's important to care this tradition, because it's just tale about who you are, who I am, who this was, and yeah, and also honoring that differences, because also if you don't understand, it doesn't mean it's bad or like you should destroy it or anything. Like for example, how much war there has been because of Bible. I don't say more, but it's like I just see it's so connected with it. But yeah.
Yeah, I actually, even here in Estonia, I learned a lot, mostly from the nature, and they also have this closeness to the nature. Still, they also believe, many people, that obviously trees have souls. Like, why you even ask me? Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, I really appreciate it, and I hope it will not disappear as well. Yeah, and. What do you think? What lesson can Sámi or Sámi culture bring to the modern world? What is relevant today in that, if they even want to? Because you said they like want to keep it secret, but obviously there is important knowledge to learn from each other and from each other's cultures. So, what do you think would be the most important?
Like honoring each other and the nature, taking care of the nature, because at the moment in Finland they are planning to make this big railway to going to all the way in the north through Finland and through the reindeer herding areas and Sámi area all the way to Norway. And that's very like bad, because it's cutting off the ways the reindeer to travel. And like already these borders of countries like Sweden and Norwegian and Finland has already cut off the Sámi areas, and to make Sámi, these borders made Sámi to decide which country do you belong. Like I use Finnish or Swedish, and that was like already very big and maybe a bit bad change for this culture. So this kind of taking care of the nature and don't take more than what you actually need. Like all kind of mines and stuff are like so stealing from all these resources of the nature, which is like what is left from that? Nothing. Like all this fast fashion and like fast industries just destroying the nature, and soon there is nothing we can eat, nothing that we cannot breathe the fresh air or anything if this is going on. So it's very important to just pause and think, do you really need it? Do you really need to buy that latest fashion? Do you really need a new mobile phone or a laptop? Do you really need to have that big ship where you can sail on by yourself? Like, who cares in the end? You cannot take it to the grave. Or if there is no water where to sail, like, there is no point. So like think what you take and do you really need it and use it all in the end and take care of it so you can use it like lots of years. So I think like all indigenous people have the same idea that yeah, you need to respect nature and everything who is living there, like humans, animals, plants, and like take care of it and inherit the knowledge from your elders and pass it on. That's why you should tell about stuff, not just like keep it in your secret and be afraid that somebody comes and use it wrong. Because if you just give some one tiny detail, of course, it's gonna be used in a wrong way. That's why it's important to tell how it actually is.
Yes, actually, yeah, because earlier actually I thought that old people in Finland, they are like, maybe it's still true that they are somewhat closer to the nature than maybe other countries, but uh, all over usually Europeans like talk about Finland like the top country who is the closest to the nature, how people care about it, and you have that really good image. But of course, when I was thinking a bit, then of course I was like, probably I won't ask anyone from Helsinki who is like living there all lives, because maybe they don't have that closeness, that's somewhere to go home, or there are some deeper traditions to care for. And that was exactly the reason why I am asking you these questions, because you are the one who can share these secrets at the moment willingly.
Yeah, I can see from people here, like example, I have one friend who has always lived in Helsinki. He has once visited in middle of Finland, and that's the northest he has spent in Finland. But he has traveled all other countries because it's easy to go from Helsinki because the airport is here. And I was really like, what? You haven't been never like in the North Lapland? Like you haven't been never Lapland? So well, maybe when I was like baby, I went with my parents. I was like, oh my god, like how like it was so weird for me because I have been traveling there like all the time, everywhere, like in Finland and like also abroad. But then we were discussing with him that he doesn't know like the basic tree names and doesn't know how the birds, migrate and which do not and why they do it and how and like, I also don't know everything, of course, but it was so weird for me that oh my god, this person knows a lot about like Korean culture, but doesn't know his own like Finnish culture and like what is in Finland and what kind of trees here is, for example. It was very weird and it's kind of also sad because you can see that they don't care. Like I don't say it's like maybe it's a bit bad thingy that you don't care that much, but it's like what they can do. Now it will be the time to take care of it and gain the knowledge, but it's just like yeah. So weird and sad.
They don't even know why they should care still, because okay, there is a lot of information in social media, but it's really slowly visible that what is actually happening. Because okay, now you can see there is not too much snow in the city. There is mostly rain, and basically I think that is the most. Maybe some people who are more aware, then they can feel that the water is worse, the air is worse, but you can't really make that difference in your daily life. So maybe that is why he doesn't even know what he doesn't know.
Yeah, exactly.
So I understand you would like to preserve this local knowledge, and do you have some idea how you could implement it with your textile work, as you say that you are inspired by the Sámi roots, and do you think you can do something more for helping to spread the knowledge, or yeah, basically to help people to understand more some things, what is important?
Yeah. It will be very interesting to find a way that will be interesting to all people. But like in art, there is always certain people who go to see the exhibitions and are interested of the art, but then there is always some group who are not interested at all. And for those certain people who doesn't care about the art and like, but will still maybe learn other ways, it should be important to like figure out that okay, maybe there will be some kind of an app or game where will be this knowledge about how to take care of the plants, or like some kind of what is now came the cyberpunk game, which is for year 2077, this kind of massive online video game. Maybe in that kind of things there will be a part where you need to go through that part of the game where they will teach like, okay, because of this, that you didn't take care of the nature back in 1990, this happened, that there is no nature anymore. Like, it would be so nice to develop something like this kind of game, mobile game, video game, or like put it inside of the art somehow, that like a wall hanging where it's very look-alike picture of something, some kind of a nature related piece, and then there will be like information about it, like okay, in this piece of art it's about how to take care of your local wildlife. I don't know, but yeah.
Yeah, there is definitely something to think of, that what we are trying to do every day, how to make it better, and what is even possible to do.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is trying to figure it out in the last minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you for telling so many interesting informations, and then I will share it with the group and with the world, so they can learn from you.
Yay.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was really interesting, and I think also really, really important. So
Thank you for hosting this.
you're welcome.
Yay.
So have a nice festive time then, and enjoy the new lights if you're celebrating it.
Yes. Thank you, and let's do it some time again. See you.